Welcome to the Money Pig podcast, presented by Goodwin Investment Advisory, where our mission is to lead you to financial pig, peace, independence, and generosity. I'm your host, Tim Goodwin. And welcome back to the Money Pig podcast. We're your hosts,
Joe Beckford
and Tim Goodwin. Today, we're super excited to talk about why am I so burned out, even though I'm successful. But before we do, Joe,
let's talk.
Do you know what you call a really fat psychic? A fortune teller.
Oh, that's so nice. Okay, so you know how I love to travel, right? You know I love to travel, and that's like boat, plane, air. Yeah, air. So I like ocean travel too. So do you know what happened when the two oceans met? What did they say to each other?
I don't know what they say.
Nothing. They just waved.
Aw, sweet. Silent waves.
Waves. Ba-dum-bum. Lots of silence. Lots of silence.
Bravo.
Even the studio audience isn't laughing at that one. Yeah.
The large studio audience.
Stick to my day job.
Oh my gosh. So how's it going, Joe? Things going good?
Yeah.
Anything interesting happening in your life?
No, the same interesting things are happening all the time, which makes them not seem so interesting.
Oh, yeah.
Anyway.
To you, maybe.
To you.
That's
what
right.
about you? What's interesting happening in your life? There's always something in the Goodwin household that's interesting.
You know what is interesting is to try to keep animals like in the right place, like in the sectioned area, like in the fenced-in area, in the gate. And usually it's like a sheep or a goat or something escapes. Which
not
is,
at my house.
That's not what a usual thing is.
No.
That unfortunately is too usual at mine.
Maybe at Miss Margin's house, but not at my house.
That's true. Miss Margin's got some animals too. So, but it's been my little dog that's been escaping lately.
Oh,
and I don't love it because he goes across the road and it's a busy road.
That's scary.
Yeah. And then he just goes right into my neighbor's house. He knows how to get in there. And apparently he has like this little recliner that he just sits on. And so anytime, sometime around dinner time, like the family's like, has anybody seen Pip? No. When did you see Pip? We call the neighbors. Like, yeah, is Pip in the chair? Oh, yep, he is. He's in the chair. But my
Nice.
front, I have a gate to my property and it got loose because we have another neighbor dog that's kind of pushed it open. And I figured out how to tighten that gate. And then this weekend, I saw the neighbor's dog walk up. I was actually out there trimming our fruit trees. We have some fruit trees. And I do love this dog and I like this dog. I just don't want him to loosen the gate. And he came up to the gate and I kind of was like, what's up, Noah? And just kind of walked away. Come on in if you want. And he couldn't come through. So I was like, yes, I did. I opened it up, let him in. But that's what's interesting with me is that I'm very often, like when you have a gate on a farm, you're often working on that gate.
Sounds like gate maintenance is.
Yeah, at least that's where I'm at. Please don't call me for gate maintenance, people. I could give you free advice, but yeah, definitely worked on the gate here recently. So I know that's why everybody tuned in for
100%.
How to work on your gate and prevent your little Pip dog from escaping. But we're talking today about why am I so burned out, even though I'm successful. So let's jump in, Joe. Tell me about it.
Let's do it.
Yeah. What are we talking about here?
We're talking about, somebody who works hard, does all the right things, does all the responsible things, has come to a point in life where they can look back at the trail behind them and go, wow, I've done really, really well for myself. And now a lot of times they've got like maybe the high-powered career.
Yep.
It's very demanding. They're juggling family, they're juggling friends, they're juggling their career, and things are going great. Nice house, automobiles, all the things, all the gratifying things, and the blessings are coming back to them. And they're like, I am so burned out, I can't see straight. I'm like ready to trade it all in and just go to a cabin in the woods and pretend I don't know anybody anymore. And you're like, that seems irrational. You spent like your whole life to try to get here, right?
This. Yeah.
But they get burned out.
Yeah.
And it's not uncommon.
Yeah. So, what does that burnout look like? It's almost like fatigue, right? They're so fatigued.
Exactly.
And maintaining the identity, the performance you're talking about. They're like, I'm just going to escape to the cabin in the woods. Which is funny because you would think that like failure fatigue or some other version of fatigue is what creates problems. But I think this is a really great, interesting topic to say maybe success leads a certain amount of fatigue if not done right. That kind of old adage of too much of a good thing can create problems, right? So this success burnout is like they're always on, right? they're always hitting that performance. They've built that career and they've, like you said, they're benefiting from it. But now it's coming with, and it's good to have expectations. We were talking about this before, this level of expectations that I think for somebody that doesn't have any expectations, like nobody expects anything of them, like that's not real great. That's not a really great place to be.
It's not a big motivator.
No, and I mean students and young people, like they need somebody that expects them to win, that thinks they can. But then maybe it gets to a point, and maybe it's on ourselves where we're just expecting ourselves too much success, doing everything, like just always being on, carrying all the responsibility, never taking a break, that your productivity equals your worth, right? And so then we start to see this mental fatigue, this quiet resentment, and maybe some falling behind, right? And so what we're trying to prevent is something maybe very catastrophic and dramatic, right? That can, have repercussions because you're just fed up and I'm done and I'm just walking out, right?
Right. You mentioned something. You mentioned the word fatigue, right? I think of like muscles and a workout, right? So why do your muscles get bigger, stronger, right? You do the reps.
Yep.
So you get stronger through the reps and you work them out and you work them out. What happens, so even you're an Olympic athlete. So, and these are like, Olympic caliber athletes, successful people we're talking about, right? They have done like all the right things. But when you're on, even Olympic athletes, you have a rest day during the week, right? So if you continually all you do is fatigue the muscle, what happens? It starts to break down. It starts to tear. Bad things start happening. You've got to have some respite in there, right? And I think these people, a lot of times, what I've noticed is they're not used to that. Like, how do I turn off the gas? How do I take a break? How do I take a respite? And so it's the cabin in the woods thing. It's like, my arm hurts so bad from all the reps. I'm just never going to lift again. Like, well, it's
interesting, because I realize like when you live in this day and age, you live in America, you live in a civilized world, like the pace is so fast
all the time. Yeah.
Right.
And getting faster, it seems
work takes up the majority of our awake hours, right? When we're in our career. And then there's just so many fun things and activities and things to do. It's just go, go, go. Right. And, when there are emotional issues, I know that my wife and I, like our default knee-jerk reaction is go to counseling. We've gone to counseling. It's great. What does counseling do? Counseling forces you to slow down. You are paying someone, you are scheduling an appointment to sit down and just talk.
About that thing.
Slow down, and they know what questions to ask, and they just listen, and it's really healing, right? It hasn't always been the case for us humans to have to pay someone to make us slow down.
Right.
Okay. And I'm not belittling counselors here. I love counselors. One of my best friends is a counselor. I go to counseling. I'm a huge advocate, right? But I almost kind of think it's something that's become more necessary because of the pace of life. My pastor just finished this series called on Eremos, which is basically this concept of when Jesus would go into the woods. And he would just like, what do the kids call it now? Like spawn out. Like, you know what I mean? And like portal back in. Like, where did you just spawn in from, right, Jesus? But like the woods, I've been there for a day or two or a couple hours, or I got up early. Like before big things happen, certainly after big things happen, Jesus would go to the woods all the time. And it was to slow down and to chill out and to just like really unpack and be present with what's about to happen or what just happened. And I don't think we just don't do that.
No.
Because we are just go, go, go.
Yeah, we don't give ourselves a latitude to do that.
You've got to slow down like you were saying. And, as a man of faith, when you say like you need this break, that's the Sabbath, right? That's exactly. Sunday for me. But like some day of the week, my dad is a pastor, retired pastor. Sunday was not his Sabbath. Monday was, right? Day. Okay, like it doesn't matter to me the day. But even my wife's been getting after me lately about like, hey, you can't check email on Sunday. I wasn't even checking work email. I was just checking personal email. She's like, you just need to just have a day you don't do email. So just trying to rewire. I like to start the day with a breakfast cigar. Did you know that on Sunday?
I did not know that.
It's my new thing now. It's my new thing is to have a breakfast cigar on Sunday, and I actually gave up smoking cigars for Lent. So yeah, so I can only smoke a cigar on Sunday. So
okay,
yeah. That's part of what and then I go for a jog probably in the afternoon. I know that it really doesn't sound right, but keeping those lungs strong. Last episode I talked about gambling. Now I'm talking about smoking. I'm really a great role model around here, Joe.
Well, at least you don't have young girls that are looking up to you.
No,
for
no,
role
no.
modeling,
Of course not.
You know,
No,
so
no.
that's a good thing.
That's right. That's right. That's right. Yeah, we do. I have 3 of those actually.
Yeah, I know.
They like the smell of the cigar and pipe smoke. So
yeah, well, it's when you catch the humidor, the portable humidor in the school backpack, then you know you got a
Where
problem.
are you guys taking?
And you know you got a problem because they're taking your cigars.
That's right.
That's right. That's right.
Oh gosh. What about you? Like, why is the Sabbath like taking that break? You know, like you were saying with the muscles, like giving it time to heal. Like, why is that important to you?
Well, I think it's just because otherwise you just get too much. The tension is too strong and you just start to break. And I'd love to say that I'm above it all and I've got this all handled and I've always done that perfectly. And that is just not true. I've gotten to the point where I'm like, I'm so stressed out. I got so much going on. There's a ton going on at work. There's a ton going on at home. There's, you know, family issues that are happening and then they all seem to collide all at one time. And I like to feel like I've built a pretty successful life. And so, and it's a lot. And then, I mean, my wife kind of forced me to do that. Like, hey, remember, like you need to take your own medicine and you need to kind of, why don't you just give yourself a break and relax and chill out for a bit? And it wasn't particularly email, like you said, but like, maybe you think you have to do that and you think you have that responsibility, but maybe you don't have that responsibility right now. Maybe you don't. Maybe you can give yourself a little bit of a break. You can give yourself a little bit of grace.
It'll still be here tomorrow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
that's good. That's good. All right. So let's say you are this, feeling this success burnout, feeling this success fatigue. You've taken our advice, or maybe you're already really great at taking a rest and slowing down and going to the woods and taking a Sabbath or whatever that means for you, but you still feel burnt out, right? So how do you know if the desire to quit is something to pursue?
Well, I love the idea that you said about counseling. I think that's a huge kind of thing, particularly
if you're thoughtful about this decision to quit.
Yeah, you know, I mean, if you've been in a career for all your life and you're getting to the end and you're like, wow, I'm probably too young to retire and I'm too burned out to stay. So what am I going to do? And I'm really tempted to just say, hell with it. I'm just going to quit and I'll figure it out later. I'll just leave now. I'll get another job. I'll figure it out later. And
Jeremy,
I would
my advice
counsel
would be,
you.
let's put a pin in that.
I would counsel you to not
put a pin in that. Come back to it.
Do that without thinking about it. But maybe, so let's work on a plan to try to get you to something that would be less stressful. Maybe there's a semi-retirement, and you know, maybe you can do that earlier in life. And if your job is just stressful, but you love it, maybe you can just do that, but less of it. Maybe there's a part-time thing. You can do a 1099 gig. And sometimes, clients that I've talked to, they didn't even think about that before, like as an option. Like, no, the job is this. I'm like, well, did you ever think about approaching your boss and saying, what if the job was that?
Yeah. And what if it was part-time? What if it was contract?
What if there was a little bit less? What if you could do a third of what you're doing right now? What would that look like? Because you know, you might not need all the money right now. That you could still do that. So there's potentially options to start thinking about.
I think if you are like, how do I know if this desire to quit is something to pursue? If like a break doesn't feel like it's enough. Like taking a break doesn't, going on a vacation, slowing down on the weekends, if that doesn't feel like enough, like you're like, I really, really want relief. Okay. Well, again, the advice is to slow down and think about your options, because you might have more options, like you were just saying, than just quitting. There could be some other options, right? But I will say that life's too short to stay in a job you hate. Life is too short, stay in a job you don't like. I have a client, there's still clients here. And when they came to hire us, I was like, I think you guys can retire now. And the wife was thrilled. She goes, he is so stressed out at work. He is on medication for high blood pressure or hypertension. I don't know what it was. But anyway, he retired. And the next time we met with them, he told me that he was not on that prescription anymore. I was like, isn't that crazy? Mm-hmm. That's how you know it's maybe something to pursue. If your job is creating so much stress that you're medicated, that might be a reason. I think to retire. But as much as I want it to be thoughtful, I want folks to have haste if they don't love their job, because it's not worth waiting. There are a lot of other options. So Joe, outside of like scorched earth and just being like, peace, show me the money, I'm out, you know, and you quit, what other options do you have? You've already mentioned a few of them.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like could you do part-time contract work,
Right.
for instance? Could you say, hey, I'll be a cheaper employee for you. I'll get off your payroll for W-2, and I don't need the benefits and all that stuff anymore. Pay me 1099.
Right.
And I'll work 20 hours a week or whatever.
It's a game changer to go from W-2 to 1099. Because part of being W-2 for the employer is that they control your time. You have to come to work between 9 and 5. This is how you do your work. But a contractor, it's more project-based. They can get it done by the deadline, but when they want to use the tools that they want to use. A lot more autonomy, right? You just have so much more freedom. You're really, quote unquote, an entrepreneur. You are in more control. You have more freedom of your time as a 1099, even if you're doing the same work.
Yeah, I know my history back in corporate world, people would retire and their job, they were very successful and they'd gotten to a point in their career where they were really needed and valued, right? So they retired. And then they turn around and they were solicited by the company like, hey, could you do this for us a little bit? And it was 1099. And they would say, you know what? I mean, I do have to pay my own taxes, but I make more money now than I did as a W-2.
You reminded me of another client, same thing.
Yeah.
Retired from a company. And I remember when he just did a few gigs. He didn't keep going for a while.
Right.
I think his plan was fine, but he was like, well, it's nice to be wanted. And they're offering me like $352 an hour to do this. And I'm like, oh my gosh, that's amazing. So those options are out there. I think the retirement feasibility check is a good one. Like,
tell me more about that.
Well, like, do you think you can't retire? Like, why do you think you can't retire now? Okay. If you're in your 20s or 30s, maybe, yeah, it's a little too early, but it's really important, I think, to sit down with an expert, like a certified financial planner, for example, just a hypothetical,
just saying,
like a Joe Beckford, or, I want somebody like that, just to kind of see like, hey, what does this look like? The financial advisor could be like, hey, if you can keep going for like another 5 years, you'd be good, but you don't necessarily have to keep making the same amount of money you're making. Just make enough to get by, and before you start taking distributions from your retirement, just let it grow and you'll be fine. Maybe they're like, yeah, you're good. You reduce your expenses here and you're good. Or maybe you are good and you can just take a break for a little while and you revisit work in a couple of years, and kind of, because obviously your health is super duper important. That's what's important. And I think there's other careers too. Maybe you could go part-time or contract in the job you have now, like you're talking about, but maybe there's a shift. Maybe you want to start working at a nonprofit. Maybe like you like to smoke cigars and you want to go work at the cigar shop, at the cigar lounge, like just as asking for a friend type situation. But that might be something you want to just completely shift to some lower responsibility. My wife used to love, she actually worked on grounds crew at college and she would jump on the 0-turn radius mowers and just go mow the fields. And she's like, I'd do that in a heartbeat. Just lock in the podcast and just go and mow the big field.
Yeah, no stress.
Yeah,
just something to bring in a little bit and leave you alone with your thoughts and stuff like that.
So I'll tell you one more client story. Justin told me about this, and so to protect the innocent here, we're going to call the name of this client Burnout Bob. So Burnout Bob. But what's unique about Burnout Bob and his wife, they're in their mid-40s. They are hustlers, and they have been hustling for a long time. They literally have amassed multiple millions of dollars, successful career, but definitely like the success fatigue is feeling super burned out.
Yep.
And so we're like, stepping back feels scary, right? So much success, a lot of identity, built wealth. Maybe a lot of that wealth is tied to company stock. But what's really cool is that our team has worked with them and built a plan that gives them the option for a sabbatical. Ministry and academia does not need to corner the market on sabbaticals.
Right.
It's okay in the marketplace to take a sabbatical. And if your employer doesn't offer it, you just self-select to a sabbatical. But if you've got a great retirement plan and you got the confidence around that money is there to take that time off, and maybe you go back or to kind of do something more part-time or semi-retirement like you talked about. So I think what's really important is to realize that you do have options. We bring this up a lot. A lot of people are afraid to quit their job or do something part-time or contract because of the health insurance.
Oh, for sure. I hear that.
I totally get that.
Time.
That is just a broken record for us, but just know for listeners that there are options. There are good ones. There are options beyond what your employer has been providing. So don't let that be the only thing that prevents you from being happy. is what I want people to hear.
Yeah.
Here or there. So, and then what's cool is too, like, when they're not working and there's different things they can do about their tax strategy. So they're doing a lot of like long-term tax planning strategies and taking advantage of semi-retirement or sabbatical where your income just dropped. There's sometimes some interesting things you can do to save some taxes over your lifetime. So we're not just saying, oh, it's fine, you've got the money, retire. We're also like, we're going to take advantage of, as we look into the future for your plan, how to reduce your tax burden. So that's pretty cool. Yeah. So, all right, Joe, as we sign off, any last words to the successful burnout, fatigue feeling person?
I think I would say I completely understand that feeling. I get that. And I guess my if I could give any advice at all, it would just be, just don't flippantly let yourself get to the point where all you can feel to do is just, pull the ripcord and just stop and quit your job tomorrow. And like, I can't take it anymore, so don't let it get that bad. If you find yourself getting stressed, find an outlet, find some meditation, find some exercise, find some sort of hobby that you like, kind of thing, to help just relieve some of the stress. Make sure that you are taking a Sabbath and, take a day a week where you're not on all the time. At Tim's point, take a long vacation, give yourself a little sabbatical. If you can do that, bank a few weeks together. And if that's not enough, then get with your advisor, whoever you trust, and say, I think I need to make a change in my life. What does this look like? But do it thoughtfully before you just, jump off a cliff that it's really hard to come back from.
Yeah, for sure. Wow, that's great. That's really great. If you're listening and you're starting to kind of think, maybe I am that successful burnout person, go to our website and check out the retirement planning page. So if you go to goodwininvestment.com and click on services, there's going to be a drop down for retirement planning. Just read through that page and see if any of that resonates with you, if any of that would be helpful. There's plenty of tools on the website. Obviously, if you're ready to start a conversation, we would love to hear from you. So Joe, like we love to do, signing off with gratitude. What are you grateful for today?
I am grateful to not be in the place where I'm successful but burned out.
Yeah, that's awesome.
I'm grateful to be in that place.
Yeah, it is a great gig here, being a financial advisor. We love it.
It's not too bad.
Yeah, it's not too bad of a gig.
Not too bad.
I'm just going to come back to my earlier story and that I shared about Pip. And even though Pip can be a little frustrating and animals can be a little challenging, I'm grateful for little animals I have on our little farm. I think it's cool to be responsible for them and to make sure they're safe and whatever. So I don't know that I'll always enjoy it, and I don't know that we'll always have all the animals we have, but it's pretty cool. My kids enjoy it. It's good responsibility. They all have different jobs around the farm to help take care of it. So I like to think it's building character. But we get eggs from the chickens, so they're the only ones that are really paying rent around here. But the other ones, I guess, are just for fun. So grateful for that.
Sweet.
All right. Thanks for listening. Bye-bye. Have a great day.
Goodwin Investment Advisory is an SEC-registered investment advisory, CRD number 131193, and this episode is produced by Goodwin Investment. This podcast is for informational purposes only and is not investment advice or recommendation to buy or sell any financial products, securities, digital assets, or other investments. It should not be used as the basis for any financial decisions. The host and guests may personally hold investments mentioned in this episode. All investments involve risk, and past performance does not guarantee future results. Please consult with a qualified financial advisor, tax professional, and attorney before taking action on any information shared.